weaving in and around the trees. Got about 40 feet away, then it raised up into the air, and it shot off as fast as you can blink.
Enter. Come on in.
On their return to the airbase, the men were called in by the officer in charge.
Well, what happened out there last night? We know radar saw something. Now I want you to tell me in your words exactly what you saw.
Well, sir, Burroughs was the first to see.
As we were standing there reporting in, then it hit me, and I realized, what in the world am I doing here, standing in front of my lieutenant, getting ready to explain this situation that I just observed. I thought, there goes the career, Jim.
Had markings on it.
Okay, this is what I want you to do.
Gentlemen, he says, I need you to go over to the woods, he says, and take a look at the area in daylight to see if you can find any more physical evidence.
Anything. Dismissed.
We found branches on the ground. We found indentations in the ground.
The local Suffolk police went out too. An officer found the indentations but reported they'd been caused by animals burrowing.
I asked him why, and he says because he's not going to put anything other than that in his report. We found that just totally absurd. The ground was frozen, and it was just impossible for that to happen.
Then the airmen remembered that the object they'd seen was triangular. They measured the distance between the indentations and discovered that they formed a perfect triangle. The activities soon came to the attention of the Deputy Base Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt.
Well, it's the aliens I feel sorry for. I wouldn't want a close encounter of any kind with Burroughs.
Who's been having close encounters?
Sir. Well, I guess you could say we were having a few Christmas festivities.
Oh, yeah?
Well, Burroughs and Penniston said they were out chasing a UFO in the forest.
Are you serious?
Well, that's what they said.
Has anybody confirmed it wasn't an aircraft?
Not that I know of.
Whatever they saw, I want it in the log.
Okay.
I personally knew the individuals that had reported it, and I knew they were very credible people. I was sure something had happened. There was obviously something. I certainly wasn't convinced it was a UFO, but I didn't know what it was.
There was only one way to find out. Huge portable floodlights, known as light-alls, were rigged in the forest, ready for anything which might appear the next night. But as darkness fell, the light-alls began to malfunction. Lieutenant Colonel Holt was interrupted at a Christmas dinner.
The duty flight lieutenant came in, and he was quite shaken and insisted upon speaking myself and the base commander about a matter of utmost urgency. He said, "It's back." And I said, "What's back?" And he said, "The UFO is back." I assembled a small team of experts, and we set off in the forest really to debunk it.
About 30 men followed the lights into the forest, armed with special equipment, including a night vision scope, Geiger counter, and a tape recorder.
Right, this way.
I'm certainly glad we made the tape, because if we hadn't made the tape, even I would have trouble believing what happened that night.
But would anyone else believe them? After the break, the actual tape of what the American airmen claim they met in Rendlesham Forest.
It appears to be maybe moving a little bit this way. It's brighter than it has been. Yellow. It's coming this way.
Strange.
It's definitely coming this way.
True. The early hours of the morning in Rendlesham Forest, Suffolk.
Right, this way.
Deputy Commander Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt and 30 men of the United States Air Force are out to debunk claims of a UFO landing.
Really time to put this thing to bed. I knew there was something there had to be something there, but I also was firmly convinced there was a logical explanation for what was going on.
Portable floodlights, known as light-alls, positioned in the forest, mysteriously refused to work.
It's very unusual to have a problem with a light-all. That night, the light-alls wouldn't work, even when they swapped out and got other ones from the base. In addition, we had problems with our radios. All 3 frequencies we were using were intermittent and did not work properly that night.
But other equipment was working. A night vision scope, a Geiger counter, and a tape recorder. The sound in this reconstruction is taken from the actual tape they claim to have recorded that night.
There's no doubt about it. There's some type of strange flashing red light ahead. And it's yellow. I saw a yellow tinge in it, too. Weird. It appears to be maybe moving a little bit this way. It's brighter than it has been.
Yellow.
It's coming this way. It is definitely coming this way.
It pulsated as though it were an eye winking at you. And around the edges, it appeared to have molten metal dripping off it, just like falling to the ground. But I didn't see any evidence of anything on the ground. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. None of us could. Here I am, a senior official that routinely denies this sort of thing and diligently works to debunk them, and I'm involved in the middle of something that I can't explain.
The Geiger counter was measuring levels 25 times normal background radiation.
Just jumped up to 7/10 there.
7/10 right there in the center?
Uh-huh.
We're getting very positive readings.
You're getting readings on the tree you're taking samples from?
More clicks, Max.
That's the strongest point on the tree?
Yes, sir.
The night vision scope showed strange readings too.
We're picking up heat reflection off the trees.
Right, Bob, and
Looking directly overhead, one can see an opening in the trees plus some freshly broken pine branches on the ground underneath. Looks like some of them came off about 15 to 20 feet up.
The men stayed in pursuit through the woods for 6 hours.
The object suddenly exploded, a silent explosion, and broke into 3 to 5 white objects and rapidly disappeared.
A mile away, Airman John Burroughs was with the broken-down light owls.
All of a sudden, out of the distance, a blue light streaked past us. Passing the light owls, they came on. It passed through the open window on the truck, going off into the distance, and the light owls went out.
As we moved out of the forest, we noticed 3 objects in the sky. The objects in the sky were moving about, sharp, angular movements, very high speed.
It's as if it's looking for something.
I kept getting on the radio and calling the command post.
Thunder, this is Stopper. Call radar and ask them what they've got 30 degrees above the horizon and 10 miles out.
I wanted to know if they were finding anything on the radar scope. One of the objects in the sky was sending down beams of light, beams of energy. I'm not sure what they were. But at the same time, I could hear on the radio voices talking about the beams coming down on the base.
Then a beam shone straight at them.
At this stage,